Ryan Reynolds is now trying to bully the court to try to put financial pressure on Justinbaldoni. You were the ones who started the lawsuit.
Blake Lively's own legal team just flipped the script, exposing both her and Ryan Reynolds in the aftermath of a massive legal scandal they had been desperately trying to bury.
Ms. Lively and Mr. Reynolds are now seeking sanctions on the purported ground that certain allegations in their complaint.
Apparently, client privilege means nothing when your clients are tossing you under the bus to protect their shiny PR image. And honestly, if you treat your lawyer like a disposable napkin, don't be surprised when he becomes the sharpest blade in the courtroom.
In fact, it is Mr. Reynolds and Ms. Lively's sanctions motion that are frivolous.
And this time, the issue arose when Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's camp tried to drag him into their chaos, asking him to file a sanction against Justinbaldoni. Mike didn't just refuse. He exposed the entire circus.
You guys are trying to force down a narrative, and we are refusing to accept it.
According to insiders familiar with the filings, Ryan's team basically wanted their lawyer to ask the court to punish Baldwin for continuing the lawsuit, not because it lacked evidence, but simply because it was inconvenient. That's what a sanction is. Legal speak for make him pay and shut up. And here's where it gets shady. If Mike had actually followed through on that request, he could have violated serious legal ethics, risking potential disbarment or even jail time. Mike made that crystal clear, telling them straight up, this isn't how the law works.
You don't get to just throw your power around and keep demanding that it's frivolous and to go away and blah, 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 blah. You are so out of touch. It's why.
Obviously, you can't just weaponize the court to scare someone into silence because your public image is on fire. You can't make up your own rules just because you're Ryan Reynolds and your wife is Blake Lively. That might work on Instagram, but not in a federal courtroom. Demanding sanctions over a frivolous suit is, well, a frivolous request. And that's exactly why Mike Gottlieb's name is echoing through this entire scandal. Instead of covering for Blake and Ryan, he blew the lid off what they were trying to pull. He told them, if you want someone to commit legal suicide to protect your reputation, find another fool.
He wasn't going to be that guy.
You guys started this lawsuit. Let's not forget, you were the ones who started the lawsuit, and Justin's proven fairly that a lot of what your wife is saying didn't seem to happen.
And let's break down exactly what they were after. Ryan's team wanted to file for monetary sanctions against Baldwin, essentially asking the court to hit him with massive financial penalties for supposedly wasting the court's time.
He's drowning the court yet again with more high-profile demands to go away. Ryan Reynolds has had enough of these utterly frivolous. I mean, I feel like I've read this story 4 times already.
But here's the kicker. We're still in the discovery phase, meaning the court hasn't even reviewed all the evidence yet. This is the stage where both sides gather information, testimonies, and proof. Yet Ryan's team wanted to skip all of that. No discovery, no facts, just silence. That's not a legal argument. That's a tantrum. And Mike Gottlieb saw it coming from a mile away.
Defending himself. So it's different for me. You're constantly out there trying to say, no, we're victims. Believe us, we're victims.
What Ryan was trying to do, in simple terms, was financially crush Baldwin before he even had a chance to defend himself properly. It's the classic rich person move. Drain your opponent until they can't afford to keep fighting. But Mike called it exactly what it was, a manipulative power play disguised as legal strategy.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Talk about...
And here's what makes it even worse. If Mike had actually submitted that sanctions request, knowing it was legally baseless, he could have faced charges for abuse of process or even obstruction. That's how serious this is. The bigger picture? Ryan Reynolds isn't just battling a lawsuit. He's fighting to protect the last major contract of his career.
Our party's complaint contains substantial factual allegations supported by a mountain of evidence. We anticipate that the court will agree, and they will.
Behind all the legal drama and PR chaos, there's a harsh reality. Ryan has only one major deal left with Disney through the Fox merger. If he blows this, it's game over. No more multi-million-dollar Marvel checks, no more Deadpool, no more brand empire. Just a man with a messy public image and a reputation Disney would probably rather pretend never existed.
Ryan Reynolds has a very lucrative deal through Fox, through everything, that he's in bed with them. They can't afford to cut him loose, but they can have a talk and tell him, Ryan, this is not good.
And here's the twist. Disney can't get rid of him. At least not directly. His contract is locked in, signed years ago under the Fox umbrella, long before the scandal erupted.
Stubborn and aggressively trying to prove the proof is out there, and I don't know what this man is.
But contracts with companies like Disney always come with an escape hatch, a sneaky little provision called the morals clause. In plain terms, it means that if Ryan does anything that damages Disney's image, like getting tangled in a legal mess involving alleged blackmail, retaliation, and fabricated narratives, they can cut him loose, no matter how much money is at stake. And guess who's keeping a close eye on him right now? Bob Iger himself. Yes, the CEO.
Himself and Disney have been trying to get Ryan Reynolds to drop this nonsense. Just like Taylor Swift, just like everybody else involved, nobody wants to be involved in this.
Multiple insiders say Bob is absolutely furious with Ryan's behavior, not just disappointed or annoyed, but genuinely furious, because this entire lawsuit is now spilling over into Disney's world.
A lot of folks are over this "it ends with us" lawsuit, and they want it to stop. And one of those people I hear now from multiple sources is Bob Iger himself, the CEO.
It's tainting the hype for Deadpool 3, complicating marketing strategies, and giving the press more courtroom headlines than box office ones. For a company that thrives on squeaky clean billion-dollar brands, this is pure poison.
Nobody wants to be involved in this. And now they've put on a brave face. They have made it clear they're not going to play nice pool with Justin over these Deadpool requests of getting information from them.
So what does back off or burn actually mean here? It means Bob Iger has personally sent Ryan a clear message: step out of the spotlight, drop the drama, stay in line, or Disney will make sure this is your very last Marvel appearance, ever.
Justin's right. This is all absolutely valid. This is not frivolous. He is demanding that they hold on to these documents so that he can do his discovery to figure it out.
They can't pull the rug out from under him just yet without triggering legal issues, but they can isolate him, sideline him, and make sure no new contracts ever come his way. Think of it as a quiet cancellation. You technically still have a seat at the table, but no one's inviting you to dinner.
That's what the case is for, Ryan. You don't get to just throw your power around and keep demanding that it's frivolous and to go away. And you are so out of touch.
And still, Ryan keeps pushing forward.
Why?
Because if he lets go now, if he admits any wrongdoing or even backs down slightly, he loses control of the narrative. Ryan Reynolds isn't just an actor. He's a brand, a walking billboard for sarcasm, charm, and A-list perfection. In his mind, the moment he shows weakness, the media pounces, Disney panics, and he becomes disposable.
Justin's out there feeling the financial weight. Now, to be fair, I'll call this out for what I see it is. To me, I believe this. I'm not trying to deny that he's not suffering, because he is. He is, make it clear. But this also conveniently is showing damages.
That's why he's not just defending himself. He's trying to remove himself from the mess entirely. His entire strategy is to redirect the spotlight, making Justin look like the aggressor, the one pushing baseless lawsuits, while Ryan plays the role of the misunderstood millionaire simply trying to protect his family.
But a buck, the exclusive people source, they're smartly putting stuff out there to remind everybody Justin's not out there at premieres and launching stuff. He's still suffering, and he is.
It's not about winning in court. It's about protecting the Reynolds brand. If he can convince the public and the press that he's the real victim, maybe Disney will back off. Maybe they won't activate that morals clause. Maybe he'll weather this storm and keep Deadpool intact.
Honestly, good on them. Valid. It's valid. They are trying to keep him in there, keep the story going, but remind everybody of the stress that he's going through, which is real. And honestly, as you even say, but he's a positive guy. And I do think he'll be okay at the end of this. I really do.
But Brian Friedman? Oh, he wasn't buying it. He saw right through the act. This wasn't just a legal misunderstanding. It was, as Friedman put it, a calculated, coordinated legal assault.
Friedman did respond. In the latest assault on Mr. Baldoni and other Wayfarer parties, Ms. Lively and Mr. Reynolds are now seeking sanctions on the purported ground that certain allegations in their complaint are frivolous.
And Ryan's push for sanctions? That wasn't justice, it was revenge. He was trying to choke Baldwin financially, halt discovery before it even began, and bury the lawsuit under layers of red tape and celebrity influence. But Friedman called it out loudly and publicly, and that completely derailed the entire plan.
But anyway, now he's trying to ask the judge to ding Justin's team financially.
Because now, instead of quietly suffocating the case, Ryan has made it louder. The courts are watching. Disney is watching. The public is watching. And every time he makes another desperate move, it doesn't come across as confidence. It looks like panic. And guess what? It is panic. Because Ryan isn't just afraid of losing a lawsuit, he's afraid of losing everything.
Yeah, the Deadpool star on Tuesday hit back against JB and his team with a request for monetary sanctions, which they say is reaction to the preposterous defamation lawsuit that makes a mockery of the legal.
You think Blake Lively is worried about a failed PR campaign? Ryan is worried about getting dropped from Marvel. He's worried about his billion-dollar image cracking like cheap glass. And now, with even his boss telling him to back off, and he still won't, you have to ask, what is he so afraid will come out?
While she's out there launching new hair care lines and calling everything frivolous, I don't see him out there you are a mockery, Blake. This whole thing was a mockery. Your whole inability to accept some bad press shows how thin-skinned you were back in August.
Because, let's be clear, Ryan's power in Hollywood only works as long as people buy into the image, the charming husband, the funny guy, the bankable star. If that image crumbles under scandal, he doesn't just lose fans. He loses contracts, studio deals, endorsements, and Disney doesn't mess around with damage control. They cut it out like a tumor. And that's where the panic starts to get real.
This idea that they put out Kirsty's interview, give me a break!
Because when you label a lawsuit frivolous before discovery, before anyone has even seen the evidence, you're not defending yourself. You're trying to shut down the courtroom. That's not legal strategy. That's preemptive sabotage. And now Blake Lively's team is scrambling to figure out what this company uncovered. So, let's break it down. In the legal world, discovery is the phase where both sides gather evidence, depose witnesses, and review documents. Basically the moment when the truth is supposed to surface. And what is Ryan's team demanding? That Justinbaldoni never even be allowed to get that far. No documents, no depositions, no facts. Just shut it all down and act like it never happened. That isn't a defense. That's a cover-up.
Ryan Reynolds is now trying to bully the court to try to put financial pressure on Justinbaldoni to drop what he's calling the frivolous lawsuit.
And here's the legal stunner. Rule 11 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. This rule states that when someone files a motion, especially something like a motion for sanctions or to dismiss, it must be grounded in fact and law, not personal annoyance or PR spin. If it's filed recklessly or simply to harass the other party, both the filer and their attorney can face sanctions themselves. Yep, Ryan and his team could be digging their own grave if the court determines this motion was just a power move with no factual basis.
Blake Lively's team wants to know what this company found.
Because that's exactly what this looks like, a PR stunt dressed up in a three-piece legal suit. Ryan is using the courtroom like it's a press conference podium. He's trying to paint Baldoni as someone wasting the court's time, when really, he's just trying to make sure no one sees the inside of this case. And if you've got nothing to hide, why fight so hard to keep everything under wraps?
Blake Lively did not want to participate in this investigation. She also turned down any investigation that the CRD complaint, after she filed that, they offered to investigate for her, and she declined.
Even worse, he's going after discovery, the very part of the process meant to ensure fairness. Courts are extremely reluctant to deny discovery unless there's clear abuse, because that's where due process comes in. The Fifth Amendment guarantees every individual the right to a fair hearing, and Ryan is trying to erase that right by labeling the entire case baseless before it even begins.
She doesn't want to take part in any of the investigation to find out if she actually has been a victim of SH. But now Blake Lively's team wants to know what this company found out.
The Constitution isn't some optional footnote. It's the foundation of the entire system, and when a celebrity tries to skip over it with money and clout, that's not just arrogance, it's dangerous. And let's not pretend Ryan's legal team is being subtle about any of this. Their motion reads less like a serious court filing and more like a tabloid hit piece, accusing Justin of running a so-called defamation circus, making frivolous demands, and pushing for sanctions that would financially obliterate him before the case even has a chance to be heard.
For the judge to deem. This is why we're in discovery. This is why we're doing depositions. Dude, you don't get to just end it before he's even gotten to ask people and get the facts.
But this isn't some Twitter feud. This is a federal courtroom. And when lawyers start abusing it just to score media points, it's not only unethical, it's potentially criminal. Want another law? Let's talk about abuse of process.
Enough here to get information. The fact that your team was out there asking Taylor to delete text messages and show support. I mean, Ryan, that looks...
Under common law, abuse of process happens when someone uses legal procedures for an ulterior motive, not to seek justice, but to harass, intimidate, or manipulate. If Justin's team can show that Ryan's motion for sanctions was filed not because the case lacked merit, but to silence him before damaging evidence could emerge, it could backfire spectacularly.
Why is Travis Kelce not following you anymore? These are real things. These aren't just us bullying you and so on. We are not going to just keep accepting whatever narrative you and other high profile celebrities demand we follow.
And here's the irony. The more Ryan pushes this strategy, the guiltier he looks. If your hands are clean, you don't need to block discovery. You let it play out and prove your innocence. But Ryan is playing the game of the elite. Stall, silence, and sabotage.
Satirical woke, nice bull character, which JB thought was an obvious shot. It was. Again, I've spoken to crew. They were like, oh my God, when I saw Deadpool Wolverine, even before the internet figured it out, I was like, that's clearly mocking Justin. They've all confirmed this, and you know it, Ryan. You absolutely...
Delay the process, drain your opponent's wallet, and dominate the headlines with legal buzzwords like frivolous and baseless, hoping the public will nod off before the truth comes out. But the public isn't sleeping. In fact, they're asking questions Ryan doesn't want to answer. Like, why is Taylor Swift so quiet? If this whole lawsuit is really as laughable and outrageous as claimed, why hasn't she said a word?
From the latest filing, he wants to send a message that JB's team overstepped. Oh, you think? Well, we'll see. We'll see if these sanctions are met, Ryan. Good luck with...
Why hasn't her team, usually controlling every whisper, put out a firm denial? That silence speaks louder than any courtroom filing. Because in cases like this, silence usually signals one thing. They don't want to get caught lying later. And then there's Andy Senior, who summed it up perfectly. This isn't about justice. It's a PR war disguised as a court battle. Ryan isn't fighting to win in court. He's fighting to win in public. He wants headlines that scream Justin's case thrown out, not Ryan forced to testify. Meanwhile, Blake? She's nowhere near the line of fire, busy launching hair care products while Ryan swings in the courtroom like a panicked CEO watching his stocks crash.
Lawyers for Reynolds tell TMZ regarding Baldoni's complaint, these are not serious claims. Are they talking about Blake's? Because I would agree about that. They are a desperate ploy for clickbait headlines that have no place in federal court. Why do you keep putting out headlines?
Let's not overlook that Ryan tried this before, filing a motion to be removed from the case entirely, and it failed. Now he's returned with a different tactic, financial strangulation via sanctions. It's a chess match where each move aims not to win outright, but to crush the opponent's fingers so they're unable to play at all costs today publicly.
Of course, this company has interviewed a lot of the staff members and everyone that was involved in the movie. And of course, these people want to stay anonymous.
But the problem is, Justin Baldoni isn't backing down, and neither is Brian Friedman. In fact, they're calling this what it really is, a legal tantrum from a man used to getting his way. And when the tantrum fails, Ryan escalates. That's what happens when image means everything. When your entire empire is built on being the good guy, the charming lead, the sarcastic hero, you'll burn every bridge just to protect the mirror. But we can't do that. That's not how workplace investigations or the legal system work. The scary part? This isn't just about Ryan. It's about every powerful person who thinks the law is just another PR tool. If courts let celebrities block discovery simply because it's messy, justice stops being justice. It becomes a luxury item.
Them to stop the investigation because they think that witnesses can turn and whatever they think it can harm their case. I understand that they want to see what they found out, but of course they can't share that information. That would be terrible. That is not how these investigations.
Ryan Reynolds has always sold perfection. Perfect wit, perfect timing, perfect marriage. But lately, that carefully curated fantasy is starting to crumble, and the cracks are impossible to ignore. When your entire public image is built on being the internet's favorite husband, and suddenly you're disabling Instagram comments, people notice. That's not just a technical tweak. It's a panic move, a silent scream signaling that the backlash has become too loud to control.
We can't do that. That's not how these workplace investigations work.
The official story? He's just focusing on the case, the real story. But the audience isn't buying the script anymore. People don't buy that we're just a regular happy couple brand. Not when lawsuits, shady legal maneuvers, and PR cover-ups start smelling like a rotting corpse hidden under a designer rug. Behind the scenes, things are even messier. Whispers have circulated in industry circles and gossip boards for years that the Ryan-Blake marriage was never what it seemed. More for business than love. Strategic, marketable. And now, with this lawsuit dragging both their reputations through the mud, those rumors are boiling over. Multiple insiders claim the relationship is just a carefully curated partnership to maintain brand power, not a genuine connection.
All these elements saying that the boss, Mr. Baldoni, did all these things, so keep that in mind.
And now, fresh rumors are swirling that Ryan has more emotional chemistry with Hugh Suckman than he ever did with Blake. That he values male companionship more than the press-friendly hand-holding with his wife. In fact, some insiders claim the closeness between Ryan and Hugh off-screen goes far deeper than friendship, and it's been quietly acknowledged in elite Hollywood circles for quite some time.
I think that's what it means, that she wants them to pay her attorney's fee because this is costing her a lot. And of course, they're mentioning the Madison Square Garden thing and.
But why does this even matter in a courtroom battle? Because everything about Ryan Reynolds is tied to his public persona. His money doesn't come from acting alone. It comes from being a brand. The sarcastic but lovable guy, the funny husband, the cool dad. And that brand relies on control of his story, his image, his marriage, his fame. This lawsuit has destroyed that illusion of control. The moment he turned off Instagram comments, the message was clear. He doesn't want to hear the truth. And worse, he doesn't want you to say it either. That's not how a confident man behaves. That's how someone acts when they know they've lost the audience.
It was also in the now infamously cringe It Ends With Us promotional skit that had nothing to do with promoting the movie, which was about domestic violence, where Ryan directed it and he brought in his mom and Blake was in the background.
And Blake? She's not helping. While Ryan is stuck in the legal mud, she's out there launching a hair care brand, acting like none of this is happening. Tone deaf, detached, and very, very fake. That fake smile is starting to grate on people. Even her most loyal fans are asking, why are you pushing shampoo while your husband is being accused of sabotaging a lawsuit involving potential extortion and defamation?
Bromances, his various bromances over the years. We've talked about him and Jake Gyllenhaal, and obviously this has been a bromance that has been very much thrown in the...
But here's where things get brutal. This lawsuit didn't just expose their legal tactics, it exposed the hollowness of their brand. Blake and Ryan have always sold the image of a couple who doesn't take themselves too seriously. But that act falls flat when the legal filings are hundreds of pages of petty attacks, financial threats, and an all-out war against a former co-star who dared to push back. Suddenly, that quirky humor looks more like emotional manipulation. Even their most viral social media moments are being re-examined. The birthday roasts, the couple memes, the over-the-top red carpet appearances. Fans are asking, were any of those moments real? Or were they just content? Content to keep us smiling while the real Blake and Ryan built their empire on perfectly calculated performance. And that brings us back to the divorce rumors.
Kind of perpetually highly publicizing his bromances is something that I find to be quite strange, right? Mostly because he's a 48-year-old man, Ryan Reynolds.
Because now, with the lawsuit dragging everything into the light, even their inner circle is starting to distance themselves. Sources say Blake and Ryan barely spend time together anymore, unless it's a public event or a carefully scheduled photo op. The chemistry is gone, the brand is fraying, and the tension is palpable.
He has 4 kids, and he seems to dedicate a lot of time and resources, like financial resources, to trying to convince the public that these bromances are perfectly normal.
And let's not pretend Ryan's helping himself here. His legal moves aren't looking strong or confident. They look desperate, filing for sanctions before discovery, trying to block evidence, demanding silence from everyone around him. These aren't the moves of an innocent man. They're the moves of someone terrified of what's coming next. What's worse, people aren't scared of him anymore. The PR machine that used to keep his image flawless has completely broken down. Every move gets mocked. Every silence gets analyzed. And the public, once fiercely loyal, is quietly turning. They see what's happening: the performative marriage, the PR distractions, the legal games. They see the Instagram filters fading and the ugly truth bleeding through. Ryan isn't just losing a lawsuit, he's losing trust. And in Hollywood, that's worse than losing a case. It's losing currency. So tell me, is this just a PR disaster spiraling out of control, or was the truth bound to catch up with him eventually? Drop your thoughts below. This story is far from over.